Hello, I'm Dale Yurton, and welcome to a study on the subject of unity. This is actually lesson number 3. If you've not listened to the previous lessons, I encourage you to do so. Studying unity. The lesson today is called Freedom from Futility. Freedom from Futility. We're going to look at some excellent advice that the wise man gave us from the book of Ecclesiastes. He's talking about the subject of unity, why we need to learn to work together in harmony, working together. And he said there's many benefits that come because of this. Our text is taken from Ecclesiastes, the 4th chapter, verses 7 through 12. The wise man said, "Then I returned and I saw vanity under the sun. There is one alone, without companion. He has neither son nor brother. Yet there is no end to all his labors, nor is his eye satisfied with riches. But he never asks, 'For whom do I toil and deprive myself of good?' This also is vanity and a grave misfortune. Two are better than one, because they have a good reward for their labor. If they fall, one will lift up his companion. But woe to him who is alone when he falls, for he has no one to help him up. Again, if two lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one be warm alone? Though one may be overpowered by another, two can withstand him, and a threefold cord is not quickly broken." Wow, what wise advice the wise man is giving to us, why we need to learn to live in unity. He's saying it's vanity, it is vain for us to try to live alone, to live successfully alone. You just can't do that, my friend. God never intended for us to try to do life alone. Now, there's 5 things that he gives us in this passage of Scripture that I want to focus on, problems that will arise in our lives if we are not living in unity. The first one he talks about is our future. Our future. And he said, there's just not a good future for those that are trying to do life alone. The way he wrote these words, he said, but he never asked, "For whom do I toil and deprive myself of good?" He is saying that the person that chooses to live alone must live a life without reflection. He doesn't stop and ask good questions. He doesn't reflect. He just simply goes on his journey doing whatever he's doing without thinking it through. You might say he cannot answer the hard questions of life. He's not stopping to think and never ask himself, why am I doing this? Why am I working so hard? The reason is because he can't answer that question, because he's not living in unity. If he was living in unity, he would be able to look at his children and saying, I'm doing this for my children, or I'm doing this for my grandchildren. I'm doing it for my family. But he doesn't have family. He doesn't have a brother. He doesn't have a son. He's not connected with other people. He's trying to live life alone. And it is a big mistake. See, it's relationships that make life worth living. There's so many things that, we just have to work hard. We have to make sacrifices. We have to do all these different things to accomplish anything in life. And if we don't have relationships, good covenant relationships, lifelong friends, people that we are committed to, family, lifelong relationships. Without those, we can't answer the questions, what makes life worth living? And so the first thing that he says The person that tries to live life alone, to do it by themselves, there's just no good future in that at all. When it's over, it's simply over. And what a waste of time, energy, and resources. The second thing that he discusses is what I will call fruitful. Fruitful. He said, if you try to live life alone, you are not going to be fruitful. Here's the way that he stated it. Two are better than one because they have a good reward for their labor. There's going to be a profit. There's going to be fruit, something that is produced by their work, by their efforts. They're going to be able to look at that and say, we've made a good profit because they've learned to work in unity. See, the person that is choosing to live alone must live a life without profit. If you are not properly related to other people, no matter what you're able to accomplish, it will all come to an end when your life is over. And you will find there's no profit in that. It's unity that gives us success. Because there's a very good statement that says, without a successor, there is no success. And that's really true. Who's going to follow you? Who's going to pick up the race that you've been running? Who's going to carry the baton then? Without unity, there's no answer to that question. You don't know. And so because of that, you're not going to be fruitful. Another thing that unity does for us, it does what we call a synergy. A synergy which comes out of unity. A synergy means I encourage you and you encourage me. And the truth of it is, we all need to be encouraged. And so it's what's called a synergy, that we feed off of those relationships. They strengthen us. They encourage us. They empower us because we're in good relationships. It makes us more productive, more fruitful. A good scripture to illustrate this is found in Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse 30, where he says, how can one chase 1,000 and two put 10,000 to flight unless their rock had sold them and the Lord had surrendered them? Now, notice the synergy that is there. One is chasing 1,000, but two is putting 10,000 to flight. How is that possible? Because they're encouraging each other. That's how it's possible. And one of the greatest things that we can do for each other is encourage one another. Encourage one another in good pursuits, in things that we ought to be doing. That's always a good time to encourage someone. But the person that's living alone, living without proper relationships, living without covenant relationships, is going to be a person that is going to struggle, and they're going to struggle a lot because there's no one to encourage them. That leads us to the third thing that he talks about. He talks about failure. Failure. Oh, I know none of us like to discuss that subject, but it's a reality in life, isn't it? All of us have made mistakes. All of us have failed from time to time for different reasons. This is the way the wise men wrote it. But woe to him who is alone when he falls, for he has no one to help him up. Now, I note he begins those words where he says, if they fall. And he's talking about people walking in unity. If they fall, one can help the other one. But woe to him who is alone when he falls. In other words, if you're walking together in unity, then maybe you can help one another and keep one another from falling. You can catch them before they trip. You can warn them of the danger about what they're about to do. So he said, if they fall, there's the possibility of it happening, but it doesn't have to happen if you're walking in unity. Without unity, it is a completely different story. It's not if they fall, it's when he falls. It's only a question of the matter of time. When is it going to happen? Because there's no one there to warn you, no one there to help him up. So the person that is choosing to live alone is living a life without encouragement. No one there to warn them, no one to help them, to keep them from making the mistakes of life. We all have what is called blind spots. Certain areas, we don't see it. Someone else may see it very clearly, but we cannot see it from our perspective. But if we are in good relationships with family, with friends, and we've made covenant relationships with people that love us, that care about us, they can help us and keep us from failure. The truth of it is, none of us are perfect or complete within ourselves. We all need somebody. Sooner or later, we need somebody that will help us. It's going to happen. It's not a question of if, it's only a question of when will it come. And if we're not living in unity, then we're living in a position where we're going to fail. It's unity that is our protection from falling. Unity that keeps us from making a lot of mistakes that we don't recognize it's a mistake until it's too late. It's been well said concerning mountain climbers that you never climb the great mountains alone. No, it's too dangerous to do that. Always climb with someone else that can be there to help you. If you do get in trouble, they're there to help you. Never climb the great mountains alone. And I would say that's not just true of mountain climbers, that is true of all of life. Never accomplish to do great things alone. No, it's too dangerous to do that. We need each other, and unity will protect us from falling, from failing. Unity helps to guard us. As we say, you have someone to watch your back. I remember talking to a friend of mine that before he became a Christian, he had lived a pretty rough life, and he had been in a lot of fights in many of a saloon. And he said, I learned something. He said, if I'm there alone, I get up next to the wall. I stand next to the wall, and I fight off anyone that comes against me. But he said, if I've got a friend, if I got somebody to help me, I will stand right in the middle of the floor. I guard his back and he guards mine. And we simply clear the floor of all those that are around us. That's the benefit that comes from unity. Now, here's the fourth thing I want to discuss. It's what I'm going to call fellowship. Fellowship. It's one of the benefits that comes out of unity. He asks the question, how can one be warm alone? In other words, it's a pretty cruel world that we live in. There are times that people get hurt. There's some things that happen that should never happen, but they do happen. And he said, it's a cold world. And the person that chooses to live alone must live a life without refreshment. Oh my. I mentioned encouragement a few moments ago. It is so true that every one of us need to be strengthened from time to time. We all deal with discouragement. We all deal with questions that we don't know the answers. We all deal with problems that are bigger than we are. If we have a friend, if we've got someone that has made a covenant relationship, they're a part of our family covenant group, then they can refresh us. It's like a good drink of cold water on a hot summer day. It revitalizes us. It strengthens us. It is a refreshment. But loners, the poor loner lives a life that is cold. Loners are cold people. There's no one there to encourage them. There's no one there to help them. As he says, how can one be warm alone? You live in a cold world. You need someone that can help you when you cannot help yourself. A good question to ask ourselves in connection with this is, have you ever tried to sleep in a room full of strangers? I've done a lot of travel in my lifetime, and oh my, I tease my friends and say that's why they make airplanes, is so that we can take naps, we can go to sleep. But the truth of it is, you never rest well. It doesn't matter if you're flying across the Atlantic or across the Pacific. It doesn't matter. You're just not going to sleep that well. Why? Because you're surrounded by strangers. And your subconscious mind will not allow you to get into that deep sleep where you don't know what's going on around you. See, it's impossible to sleep well in strange places because every unusual sound startles us. It awakens us. And what was that? And all of a sudden you're looking around to see what made that noise. You can't rest well because you're surrounded by strangers, people you do not know. And you don't know if they're going to steal from you. You don't know if they're looking for an opportunity to take something that's yours or hurt you. You don't know that. And that's why we rest best when we are with those we love. Those that we know that love us, that are committed to us. That's why they say, there's no place like home. Boy, that is the truth. I sleep better when I'm at home than anywhere else in the world. Why? Because I'm surrounded by people that love me. I'm surrounded by people that care about me. And because of this, I can totally relax. I don't have to be on guard. I don't have to be watching and looking. I can go to sleep and sleep well. But how can one be warm alone? You're going to find yourself living a very cold life in a cruel world. And I know people like that. I know people that do not trust anybody. That's not the way God intended for us to live. No, God never intended for us to try to do life alone. Do it together in unity. Work together in harmony. You'll discover that's where the future is. That's where you're going to be prosperous and blessed. That's where you're going to be refreshed, is when you are living in unity. Now, there's a fifth thing that he talks about here that I'm simply going to use the word fight. Fight. The way that he states it, he says, though one may be overpowered by another, two can withstand him. What's he talking about? He's talking about a fight. A fight. Now, I don't think you should go around looking for fights, but the truth is, sooner or later, a fight will come looking for you. And there will be people that they will do you wrong. If they can do you wrong, if they can take advantage of you, they will take advantage of you. The truth of it is, they don't love you. And so when you're in that situation, the best thing that you can have is somebody that loves you, somebody that cares about you. It's what so many pastors call becoming an armor bearer, someone that will take up your battle and fight your fights and help encourage you when the fight comes, when the battle arises. See, it's a cold fact of life, but the truth is there are people, if they're given the opportunity, they will attack us in an attempt to hurt us. Yes, they will. They're just people like that. For whatever reasons, behind their malicious attitude and actions, there are people that will hurt us if they get the opportunity to do so. don't give them the opportunity. How do you stop that? How do you keep them from gaining the opportunity to attack you? The best way is in unity. In unity. If you're surrounded by friends, if you're surrounded by people that love you, they will think twice about trying to hurt you and speaking evil of you. Because all it takes is one good friend that loves you and is willing to fight for you. And it changes the whole atmosphere, the whole room. Everything changes in that situation because you're surrounded by those that love you. See, the person that chooses to live alone must live a life without victory. You're always going to be fighting, in fact, many battles that you would not even need to fight if you were surrounded by people that love you. You're going to find yourself continually being picked on. You're going to find that there are people that will try to take advantage of you unless you're surrounded by friends, surrounded by family, by those that love you. And you won't even have to fight a lot of battles because the relationships that you have built will stop them from attacking you. See, this is what he's saying. Being in unity with others is a key to victory, a key to victorious living. Not only does it prevent a lot of battles from taking place, but if the battle does begin, you've got someone there to help you. As I mentioned, my friend saying, if I have a friend with me, then we just get right in the middle of the room and we clear the floor together. Now, that's unity. But you've got to know that you have someone that will guard your back, someone that will fight for you, that will stand up for you. Oh, how encouraging it is when we go through those difficult days, when there are people that are trying to take the advantage of us, and to see them turn and walk away simply because we have learned how to live in unity. Two is better than one. And that is what he is telling us. He's saying that you're going to discover when you enter into proper relationships of unity, covenant relationships, where you have committed yourself to each other, that unity actually will empower us. It helps us to accomplish things we could never accomplish alone. It helps us to do some of the great things in life, that you're not just struggling with everyday problems, you're able to be victorious, an overcomer in the midst of very difficult situations. And so these are the reasons that he said why we need to learn to live in unity, that we need each other, that if we will help each other and be committed to each other in covenant relationships of unity, then we're going to learn how to live the good life, the life that God intended, the life that God created you to live. The devil is always trying to rob us, always trying to steal from us, always trying to destroy what God has created for us. That's his tactics. That is his strategy. He's always attempting to do that. Don't permit him to do it. And one of the best ways to stop the devil is learn to live in unity. Two is better than one, and a threefold cord is not easily broken. I think that is one of the meanings of what Jesus said, where two or three are gathered together in my name, there I am in the midst of them. If you want to be empowered, if you want to be victorious, if you want to be successful, then learn to live in unity. And by doing so, you're going to discover one of the greatest keys to life, the key of not trying to do life alone. You learn how to put your roots down. You learn stability, and it produces all kinds of fruitfulness, all kinds of blessings and benefits in our life. So this is what the wise man is talking about. It's what he's encouraging us and telling us, if you don't live this way, you're going to miss out on so many of the things that God has created for you. You're not going to find it alone. You're only going to find it when you're learning to live together in proper relationships. And so I would encourage you, if you have not made those kind of commitments, it's time for you to begin to do so. As the Bible said, he that has friends must show himself friendly. If you want a friend, then be a friend. Help someone. Commit yourself to them. And by doing so, you're going to reap what you sow. Now, sure, all of us have been disappointed from time to time. Even Jesus had his Judas, the man that betrayed him. But do not allow one Judas to stop you in the pursuit of your life, fulfilling your destiny, fulfilling your purpose. You can't do it alone, friend. God never intended for you to even try. And so I encourage you today, learn the lesson of unity, the freedom from futility, the freedom from failure, the freedom from fruitlessness. It'll produce a good future in your life when you learn to live in proper covenant relationships with people that love you and you love them. By doing so, you begin to reap the benefits that God has intended for us, the benefits that comes from unity. So let's learn our freedom from futility.